Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole Lore and Frame the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. Following this Nintendo Direct, we heard a lot of bleeding from a certain demographic of gamers on the internet. The new Zelda's coming out. Oh, I can emulate that. The new, the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance things come out. Oh, I can emulate that on my PC. The new, Deca Police, Danganronpa Raincoat. It's not a Danganronpa game, but that's basically what everyone's calling it, like the Danganronpa lookalike. The everything new that's coming out on Nintendo Switch. Oh, I can emulate that. Essentially, what's happening, for those of you who aren't aware, who haven't been keeping up, is that in a desperate attempt to downplay the success and popularity of the Switch, there is a dedicated group of people out there who are acting as if like being able to emulate games somehow invalidates the console and its library. That's essentially what we're seeing, is that like we're seeing people trying to downplay Nintendo Switch's best year ever by claiming they're just going to pirate everything and play it on Switch, which doesn't play it on emulators, which doesn't actually work, by the way, because you have like all these glitches. You lose save files. You have to worry about like your frame rates being ideal. You have to go through all this legwork to like illegally get those ROMs. Like you have to like do all this stuff. It's better to just download and play the game, honestly. I think Metroid Prime Remastered was a really good example of this, in which they shadow dropped that game that day. And there were a bunch of people claiming they went ahead and got it downloaded onto their Steam Decks. But the thing is, everyone was downloading the game. So in order to download it onto a Steam Deck, you would have had to illegally download the game. You would have had to, well, first of all, you would have to rip the game from Nintendo Switch's servers. Then you would have to dump it onto your PC, and then you would have to play it. It would have just been simpler and easier to just buy the game and play it on the Switch. And that's kind of the situation we're in right now. Is why exactly would I go through the trouble of dumping a Nintendo Switch game onto my PC when I could just pop it into my console and play it normally? There really is no reason to do that, honestly. It really does feel as if the people insisting they do this all the time, the main reason they're doing it is trying to invalidate the Switch hardware and trying to say it's irrelevant and obsolete and that they don't really need it. They kind of leave out the inconvenient truths of just what emulating games is actually like, and what you have to do to get them, and why doing what they do is illegal, right? Even right now, in the comment section of this video, you're going to have a bunch of people telling you that emulation is legal, which isn't actually true. As anyone who's looked into the subject matter knows, it's basically just an issue of just how exactly is Nintendo going to prosecute all of these people who are stealing all of their games, right? It's just not realistic in that sense. So there is a small demographic of people who are doing it, but to suggest it's mainstream and that the vast majority of people are playing Nintendo games on their PCs, it just isn't true, especially as older games become more readily available on Nintendo Switch. I think this the Game Boy Advance being released on Switch is a really good example of what's actually happening here, because now that the Game Boy Advance is available on Switch, you can kind of see that oh yeah, people are actually getting excited about this. People are getting excited about playing Mario and Luigi again. People are getting excited about these old Wario Lands and Super Mario Land 2 being re-released. A lot of people are excited about that. And these are the old games. These are the games that are supposedly the easiest to obtain through emulation, right? These are the games that supposedly anyone can do. Anyone could play, but nobody's really doing that, honestly, because it's too much trouble for what it is, right? Nobody wants to do that. People would rather just play these games on the Nintendo hardware. And I think now is kind of a tipping point in the emulation debate, in that people are beginning to realize that the emulators, the people who claim that they're pirating everything day one on their Nintendo Switch, or a few weeks early in a couple of cases, are completely full of shit, because the situation they're describing, that they're playing Metroid Prime Remastered at 8K day one, it's just not realistic, you know? Like, it just doesn't make any sense if you actually look into what these people are saying. Like, I don't think that, like, most players, or really anyone, is playing the big Nintendo releases the day they come out on PC. There's just no reason to even try, honestly. Like, you're better off just, like, playing them, buying a legit copy on the Switch and playing that. There's no reason for it. And I'm just going to, like, come out and say it that, like, I formally just condemn emulation. I condemn pirates. I condemn PC gamers, the pirate community. That's what PC stands for, the pirate community. Like, they really need to just stop, okay? Like, no one's buying into your nonsense. No one's going to stop buying Switches because you're supposedly emulating everything. Nobody cares, okay? What everyone wants is to play the hot new games on Nintendo consoles, and the sales numbers for Nintendo's hardware and all of their games very strongly reflect that.